All right, it's 7 o'clock here on the East Coast, so that means I do my little Elm stream again this week. I've been a bit lazy out of town the last 2 weeks, so I couldn't make it. So I'm happy to get back on track. Also, I think this week is probably going to be the last episode of the Tetris application that I'm developing. It's been staying with me for 14 episodes after this one, and I just feel it's done its job at serving as a example, and I'm just feeling like picking up something new. Haven't decided yet completely. I think something that I dearly need is actually a Twitch overlay to show comments in the stream, so that when I record the video and put it up on YouTube, you can see the comments in the rewatch as well. So I think actually this is what I'm going to do next, is to develop a browser-based Twitch overlay, just something like something that keys out nicely, where I can fade in the chat or whatever. And also something that I also really need is an audio notification when somebody asks a question, because so far I think I've missed all questions in the chat because I don't get that many yet, and I'm just too focused on coding. So I think I'm really looking forward, because it has also a bit more real life feel than a Tetris game in isolation, like what I've been doing so far. So yeah, so what am I going to do today? I think to wrap the project off, I just want to give it a bit nicer frame setting. I want to develop a little menu page when the application starts, where we can start the game, and maybe if I have time, I make the board size configurable, just because. And I think it's actually a good opportunity to showcase how to do a bit of a page-like navigation, and how to separate the concerns of the individual pages from the main application, something that I already started to do last episode when I extracted the game details. But still, the whole game flow logic, I would argue, of the Tetris is still in the main application, and I will not change this for the Tetris part of the application, which is all of it right now. But I want to start the menu page logic. I want to start directly out in a fresh module, and that gives a few nice challenges to look into this episode. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump right in. So something I also started to use only last week was the Elm language server, which gives much nicer error message or hints in the code, like these ones. And I just saw that I thought I had cleaned up everything, as it looks like I generated a few new unused import or code instances in general, and I just let the language server, or accept the actions proposed by the language server, remove all reported unused code. And I just use git here to see what it changed. Okay, just 3 unused imports really. So I'll commit this right away. Git commit with the commit message, removed unused imports. All right, let's jump back into the source. Oh, actually, what did I commit? Because I just put in, before I started the episode, a little code that makes the game auto reset when it's game over. And I'm not sure. I'm sure I did not want to commit it, and now I'm not sure if I actually did. So let's look at this last commit again. Git show. Yeah, that's what I feared. So I'll quickly reset this. Git reset. One commit. Git add. And I'm going to add only the hunks that I'm interested in here. This one, yes. This one, yes. This one, no. So then we can just repeat the commit here and just check out Elm to be at the previous state. Cool. Little detour. Okay, so I said I want to start out with a new page. So yeah, let's just create this one. Source, let's call it menu.elm. Write a module definition, module, menu, where. Okay, and yeah, actually I forgot the parentheses there, but language server to the rescue. So then let's add an import statement here. Import menu. Well, actually I don't have to say as, I will just import it as is. Let's see, compiler is not happy because I have not I have to have at least one expression in here, I think, to make it happy. I fell for this before. So okay, now at least it's compiling again. And I would say we draft the view function here first. View. And well, let's just start without any parameters and just have a text in here. And I can actually use, which one do I want? This one, my menu. I did not import the div yet. I love this auto import. Boom, and let's jump to the main module, to the actual view function. Yes. Oh, and there was go to definition GD. I love it. Okay, case model of menu. We'll just say menu dot view. Okay, now it will tell us, oh, there's no such variant, no definition, and I'm curious what it will propose. Nothing. Okay, well, that's a pity, but it's also not that hard. So, model can also be something in the menu. And cannot find a menu view variable. Did I save my... No, I did not. And this case does not... Let's look at what that is. Menu, main, and line. Oh yeah, here it's all over the place. Oh yeah, okay. I think in the case of menu, we don't need any subscriptions. So the things that listen for the timer ticking down and or listening to the global keystrokes, we don't need any of this while we're in the menu. So we can just put it like this. And now we're happy. Application in the browser still looks the same because we're not putting the model into the state variant that we just introduced. So where is our init function? So I think I will just yank this expression out here and save it as a expression, because I know I will need it in a bit when we want to start a new game. So here, let's just say menu. Boom. Not happy because I didn't indent this block, I guess. Boom. Yeah. Now it's happy. Compiled without errors. It's an unused variable or expression. That's correct. Hey, my menu is there. Awesome. Cool. So now we want to add a button. So let's say this is the Tetris, and here, I don't know, or let's actually say P. Yeah, one. Okay, the one letter, one character imports are a bit hard. So let's say this is P, and it contains the text. And let's indent this a bit nicer. And let's say we put a button, and it's from HTML. That's correct. And let's put a text on this button that says start game. That should do the trick. Texta. Okay, that's not correct. Boom, start game. Looks great. But when I click it, nothing happens because I haven't wired it up with anything. So for a button, we have can register a message that's being sent on click. HTML on click from HTML events is exactly the right thing. So let's say click start. Okay, it's a bit overly specific, so maybe let's just call it start game. So now the question is, of course, okay, where do we take the start game constructor or variant from? We cannot, like one intuition or one reflex that one could have is like, okay, we just look up the message type that we already have and add a new variant for that type here. And then we just import it in menu and use it from here. The problem is that will not work because we create a very short cyclic dependency because we import the menu module in the main module, and we also import the main module from the menu model. So Elm has trouble, or actually it's not impossible. Many languages support that kind of dependencies, but it makes, in the long term, it makes your code hard to maintain and to keep track of who uses whom. So Elm is proposing or is enforcing this directional dependency model, which I really prefer as well. And anyway, I would say it's like not a concern of the main module what happens in the menu. So instead, we'll create our own message type here in the menu, and we will just call it message as well, because like there's a certain, every Elm developer will directly know what this is used for, because we are basically writing a mini Elm application for our menu here. So start game. So now let's say what the compiler has to say about this. Something is off with the first branch in main 223. Let's just bring this up. So here, the problem here is, let's see again what the compiler complains about. This value is a HTML menu message, but the type annotation says it should be an HTML message. So it's specifically complaining about that the type attribute for the type attribute for the HTML that this expression is returning, because all the case branches here that return from this case statement should all still return an HTML message. And because we put into the view function of our menu, we put the start game, which is a part of the message type in our menu, this doesn't match up anymore. So what we have to do is basically we have to convert any message that is sent or created from our menu view that is specific to the menu view. We have to kind of wrap it in a message that can be understood by the main menu. So for that case, we will create a new specific message in our main module. I just go to the definition of message type. So basically it's kind of a router or a forwarder that we want to say, like, when we're in the menu state in our main application and we know that the menu has to process all kinds of sub messages, if you will, and we want to just forward them to the menu module. So we create a new message for menu in our main module, and it has one parameter which will be a message for the menu, and that of course will be of the type menu.message. Okay, cool. So now let's see how we can use this to our advantage. Let's see where the view function is. So now, how did I do this? I know that there's this pattern that I learned this from the Elm SPA, single page application. Yep. That's the one. That's probably not what I'm looking for now. Elm SPA application. That's the one. And they have abstracted this logic quite a bit so that it's not so obvious, I would argue. So for me, it really helped basically to go through the process that I'm trying to show, but it's been a while, so I don't have all the steps, all the steps from the top of my head. So in the view, basically what we want to do is any message that gets triggered or sent from this view, we want to wrap in this. And I think there's something like message map or something like this view page. So here, got settings message. So this is basically what they're doing as well, and they abstracted away the whole like the way we construct these views from those sub views into this view page function. So let's see where this is defined. View page, it's not defined in here. No, it is. Yeah, page view. And I think this is the magic sauce we're missing. So let's look it up on the Elm documentation, quick links, packages, HTML map. Let's see, transforms the messages produced by some HTML. Produces. Okay, that's exactly what we want. So how did they do this? They mapped to message. Okay, let's just. Let's just give it a try. HTML.map, and I hope it will take our for menu and the menu view. Let's see if this is right. This view is still not right. Interesting. I forgot to save. So now it compiled without errors, and you can see, refresh. Okay, cool. So at least it renders again, but it still doesn't do anything because we're not handling this message yet anywhere. So to handle it, we obviously have to go to the one place where all the things are handled, which is our top level update function. So let's jump to the definition of this. And at some point a few episodes ago, I changed this expression to this case expression to match against this tuple, which is made out of, or tuple, which is made out of the message and the model. So yeah, let's add a expression here for our. So we know the message that we want to match again will be a message for menu. And let's just, I don't know if we need this just yet. Or let's call it menu message. And the model I would also argue we know we have to be in the menu, like any other menu message that occurs if we are in the game or if game over, it doesn't really make sense. Okay, the question is now, how do we calculate the new model and the new command from this? So we know it has to be a tuple. I mean, we can also just make something that doesn't do anything just to make it compile again. Model and just command.none, just to see how fast we can make the compiler happy again. Boom. Cool, compiled. And here probably is again that we are not using this yet. That's correct. Okay, so we want to, obviously we want to, oh yeah, maybe we just, because so far it's pretty clear what we want to do when we press the start game button, and I would say the menu itself doesn't really know how to start the game, because it should care only about menu specific logic, and we'll probably add a bit of this in the second step. But for now we can just say like if our for menu gets the start game command, then, and now we can jump back to the init function, because that's where I parked the definition of the new game, if you want. Here is it. Let's grab this new game definition from this let block, and we'll just write our own little let block here. Probably want to move this out into a dedicated function to keep our update function clean, but for now we will just say, okay, it's the new game. Empty board is not defined. Ah, yeah, actually, we could have literally just let's just have grabbed the whole go definition, the whole let block. But I was not smart enough to see this right away. Okay, how does it look? Compiler's happy. Start game. Oh my god, it's working. The only thing that's not working right now is that the actual game is starting, and that's because we don't spawn our first piece. But that's also really simple. We just have to grab this command from our init function, delete find closing bracket, and replace our command none here. And I think we forgot to grab a parentheses, and now when we start the whole application, we don't want to spawn a new piece. We only want to spawn this when we hit the start button. Okay, compiled without errors. Whoops. Start game. Oh, it's a dream come true. That was really fast. I like it. I like it. So yeah, as I said, like maybe as a little further extension, because we didn't really do a lot in the enough in the menu for it to justify to have a dedicated module. So maybe we just put in plus and minus buttons to change the width of the board, let's say, because I also think that will show us some other limitations in my current implementation. If we look into the game details, I know already that where was it, board height and board width are hard-coded constants. So that's obviously will challenge us a bit in terms of how the data flows from the menu to the game details or whatnot. But I feel positive I will figure it out. Well, it's 7:30 before 8. We'll see. Okay, so let's first create the UI again. I really like this approach today of creating the UI first. So let's say we do another row here, so that in HTML speak that means a div, and let's say two buttons, one with the text plus, or on the left should probably minus, And then we do a text here that shows the current number of columns. Second button, text plus and closing bracket for the children of the div. Save. The children of the div sounds would also make a great album title for, I don't know which generation. Music. Yeah, okay. It's not pretty, but you get the idea. Okay, so let's say we also definitely now need a... Yeah, where do we store this? Now we have to basically make the decision, do I want to store this in a model that's part of the menu? Yeah, I think so. I want to do this. Like I want to say type, and because it's only an int, we can just use an alias. So it's going to be type alias model equals integer, and we want to number, or let's call it model to stay consistent with the generic Elm application, if you will. And we say string from int, put in the model here. Boom, boom, boom. That's not the right syntax. There's a pipe missing. And what does it say? Missing type annotation. Okay, I think now is a good time as any to infer the type annotation for that function. So that's great. Like that makes locally sense. Now just probably the HTML compiler, the Elm compiler is complaining because when we call this function, we don't pass in the model. So that means in our little menu mini application, we now have to store this model state somewhere. And the way to go about this is to attach it to our message variant, model variant. Go to definition of the menu, because this is like logically and technically everything, it makes sense that the state of the menu is attached to the variant of our application model when our model is in the menu state. So we just say, give this another parameter that's called menu model. Save this and follow the compiler errors. We see it's quite a few. Wow, it's 3. It's not too bad. And probably which one is the best one? Probably the one with the lowest 9 number. I hope this is the one where we initialize the game. No, actually, I'm pretty sure it's not. Anyway, I'll jump to this one. No, I really want to jump to the init function. Init method function first. Oh man, I'm switching too much between programming paradigms. So, it's actually right below. So that's not too hard. So I don't know what's our board width that we start with. Board width, go to definition, 11. So, actually, should we? Yeah, maybe we should just use the board. When I jump to definition, it changed the file in the buffer, or no, probably opens a new buffer. Now I don't know how to go back, so that's a bit annoying. I'll just open the main here again, and we can just we already used the board width component constant or expression here in the main, so we just initialize our menu with that number. I think that only makes sense. So say board width. Boom. Okay, that's one down. Let's go to line 89 to see what's up there. Here we're matching against the tuple of a message and a variant or a state of our model, and because we added a parameter to our menu state, we now have to put this in here as well. Let's call it menu model for now. Let's jump to the next one. 186. Boom. Same here. When we register our subscriptions, we still don't want any subscriptions no matter what the current state of the menu is. And line 228. Here is our menu model as well. And now this is actually the place where we can pass in our menu model. So let's look a bit again what's happening here. So we're in the view function of our main module, and so in our main application, and our model has the variant menu, and our menu variant has our menu specific submodel as a parameter, and we are just grabbing that and passing it on to the menu view function, exactly what we expect here in line 16. We now want to have this menu model, which is of our type model. Well, actually I should call this model here, otherwise the whole definition of this alias doesn't make sense. So this model refers to this model which is local to the menu, and here our menu model has exactly that type. So now I hope it compiles again, and it does. So if we look here now, we see the 11, which is beautiful. And now we just have to wire up these plus minus buttons. So we already have our message type here for our menu local messages. So we'll put in two ink width and decrement width messages. And we'll issue those on our buttons. On click, left is decrement, boom, boom, boom. Oops. On click, increment width. Boom. Does it compile? It does. Does it do anything? It does not. Because again, we never handled these messages, right? And I know usually it's this nice Elm feature being exhaustive, being like sensitive about being exhaustive, but it's because we like the place where we have to this again is the update function. And here, well, we have this fallback down here in line 119, which basically catches all the unhandled cases, and that's why we don't get a compiler error for this. But anyway, we're experienced with update functions now enough to know that this is the place to look for. And so we'll add a new case branch, switch branch here for menu with a submessage, and we have to add it after this other branch, because otherwise this pattern will also match the one where we are specific about wanting to start the game. So basically that means if we have a message for the menu and it's the sub message is a start game message, then we do the thing in our main, like we start the game. And for all other sub messages, we want to forward handling to the menu. So, so we want to do in our update function what we always do in update functions. We want to generate a new model based on the message and the previous model. But because this is all logic again that's specific to the menu, we don't want to do this kind of handling in our main module. So we just want to forward it to a menu specific update function that's specific to the sub model and the messages of the menu model. So we're going to write menu update, and we want to hand it the menu model. I always never am able, so update functions usually get the message and then the model. I always mix up this order. So let's say the I call it sub message. Maybe it's more consistent in my current naming scheme to call it menu message, and we want to end up with a tuple again of a model and a command. And for now, I'm just very certain that my menu will not issue any commands. So I'll just construct it here with command none on the fly. And I would say this update function should generate an updated menu model, which I am not allowed to put into the return type here in the first position of this tuple, because the return value or the type of the model that's returned from our main module update function is supposed to be of the type model that's defined in the main menu. So, but we already have a way to do this. We just similarly, as we deconstructed our submodule menu model from this menu variant, we are just going to wrap the sub model returned from our menu update function in the menu variant of our top level model type. Okay, menu. There's a lot of menu going on. Okay, we'll just save this, and it will probably tell us, yeah, no definition found. Is it able to create this? Now, like for every error message or warning I get from Elm language server, I'm always super curious now if it's able to generate something on the fly, but it's not. But it's also not too hard. Let's go into the menu model and create that update function. So let's see, what do we want to pass in? We'll just close this one. We want to pass in our menu message in our menu model. So let's just call it message model, because we're in a local scope here, so we don't have to repeat ourselves again that we are in the menu. And let's say if message off. Well, I would say if it's start game, we are not interested in doing anything, so we just return the model as is. And if it's ink width, then we return model +1. Whoops. And if it's deck width, then return model -1. Cool, let's see if that works. Indentation looks fine, compiler is happy. Maybe we can even infer the annotation. That's the number. Okay, number technically correct, but we know it better. We know it more specific. We want takes a model message and a model and returns the new model. So it compiles and ding 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 ding. Wonderful. Okay, awesome. Maybe from the language part, this was a bit the hard part. Like if you've never done this, breaking out a page. I don't want to really call it a page because we're not navigating page, but like breaking out a screen maybe is the better term. I don't know. Like in a module like this, it gets a bit tough to fiddle around with the types for it to work. But I've done it a few times now. I really like this model because it lets me reason about these enclosed realms in separation. Okay, so now the hard part from the game logic is now how do we wire through this new number to be used to be used as our actual board width. It seems easy on the surface because it looks like here where we react to the start game message, we just have to switch out the board width against our menu model. But I have a hunch I'm accessing this board width constant somewhere else and jumping to wrong conclusions based on this. So let's just see how it breaks. Let's do a really wide one. Start game. That looks great so far. But yeah, we'll see, like there's weird stuff is happening. I can move the pieces out of the board again. That's not nice. So I think that's probably just because our drawing routine is not smart enough to account for the changed board width. It's probably hard-coded. Let's do a very narrow game. Game over. Yeah, that's weird. So things are weird. I think we can argue that's the case. So I think the way I want to find out how what's referring to if we are, or where we are not properly accounting for the variable width of our board is, I just want to remove the board width constant. So I'll just comment this out. I know already in our main function we are still referencing it when we are initializing the application. So there's the function. I just hard code the 11 here for now. So I commented out the board width, and we can close the menu because it has nothing to do with it. And now we see, it's only in one. No, bad import, source main. Okay, so that's the first thing to clean up. And I have a hunch after this we are going to see a few more compilation errors. No, that's weird. Maybe I was too pessimistic. Start game. Okay, maybe 3 was a bit too small for a board to start. Yeah, maybe it just works. That's pretty sweet. Nice. Oh, the good thing is it also allows me to quicker clear lines. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, you're not here to watch me play Tetris. So I think that makes a good change, and we can commit this. So where did I comment out this board width thing? Okay. And yeah, maybe we look a bit into layout after that to fix the fact that I think the SVG has just a fixed width. Let's fix that next. But this makes a good change, as I said. So let's add it to the staging area and see what we have in there now. We removed the board width, we removed the import, we added an import for the menu stuff, we changed our initial state, we added a new variant for our model state, added those 2 new branches to handling that. Yeah, subscriptions had to account for that. The model had to delegate to the menu model, and then we added the whole new menu model. So that's pretty clean. I'm pretty happy how fast that went. So 15 minutes until 8. Yeah, I think I'll look into some layout stuff with the leftover time for today. Git commit, and message is add menu with configurable board width. Nice. Okay, let's open up again the view function here, because now I'm kind of like, that was one of the first things I coded probably 10 episodes ago, so I'm not really sure how I'm rendering this SVG. Let's see. Div board view sounds like the way to go. Board view, let block SVG, and yes, here we are. It's hard coded. Okay, okay. So I don't know, inspect, whoops, no, I don't want to look at the page source. Where's my CSS? Do I have CSS? I have a style CSS in this project, in assets style CSS. Okay, cool. Cool, cool. I don't know where my, I think I will just add a good old CSS debugging trick. Border 1 pix solid red, just to see the actual bounds of our SVG here. Start game. Okay, okay. Okay, so I guess we can just calculate the width of the SVG based on the width of one of those boxes. That's probably defined somewhere down here. We see they all have width height. And then there's some kind of gap in the middle. I don't know. Gutter size. How did I do this? 11. Okay, so actually each tile with its gutter is 11 pixels wide, so that means the SVG just needs to be board width times 11, I guess. So that's easy enough. And we have the board here. Board width. Do I know how to calculate the board width? Did I already write a function for this? So probably board width. Okay, it's not used here, and I think not either in the game details, because that's literally what the constant was called. So maybe we write a new function in our game logic that takes a board and returns the width of that board. Source game details. Jump to the bottom because I don't want to worry about order functions in this module just yet. Board width. Now that we've removed the constant, we can introduce a function that has this very name. Takes a board and returns an int. Board width. Board. Let's jump to the definition of board. What happens if I do this here? Go to definition. Yeah, that's exactly what I want. So, I mean, I could also keep a constant here so that I don't have to count each time. Oh, actually, I have an empty row here and here already. So the board width will just be the length of the empty row. So I can just deconstruct this here, empty row. That's perfect. And just say length from list exactly. Whoops, empty? No, empty rows. Empty row. This X here is, this extra S is wrong. So that's good. So now we have a board width function, or maybe we save this file. Type mismatch. Expected. Okay. Empty row, how is... okay. I see. Yeah, let's do the a bit more computationally expensive solution first. We can optimize later. As we know, premature optimization is the root of all evil. So if empty row of row fields, then it's length fields, and if it's a fading row, which I know it's not, but let's just pretend it could be. Let's just return null. In this case, everything's wrong basically. So what is it unhappy about? This case does not have branches. Fading row, but fading row is right here. I just missed the parameter, I guess. Fading row has 2 parameters, which I'm not interested in. Okay. So let's say width, SVG width, view width, I don't know, maybe view width. View width is board width exactly of board times 11. And now we say width is string, or maybe we just use the from int, from int view width. Okay, does it compile? It compiles. How does it look? Start game. There's enough space. Let's make some more. It looks weirder. Wider, but also weirder. And that's probably because we have to reuse this value here in the view box as well. So maybe we do the string conversion already here. From int, boom. So now we can keep this here and we can interpolate in this here. Plus view width plus, and we have to give him the right precedence here. And combats again, start game. Yeah, that looks much neater. Nice. Cool. Yeah, now we could go through the same exercise for the height, but I think I'd spend just one more minute on a different aspect just to show something else, which is I want to center this, and of course I could also now show off my CSS skills, but I want to use this opportunity to actually show a different Elm library which helps a bit with layout, which is called Elm Ui. Let's say what it has to say about itself. CSS, blah, blah, blah. This library is a complete alternative to HTML and CSS. So yeah, the idea is to use this library as a design toolkit and compose our UI out of functions, and you don't have to think or know about HTML or CSS at all. So let's say, let's see how we set this one up. So yeah, we definitely want to be able to import this element stuff from the library. And for that, we first have to add the library to our package or to our dependency file. I don't know what's the proper term for that. Or maybe I will just quickly make a commit for what I just finished. Let's see what I changed. I added the SVG border that I definitely don't want to check in. And then we... Okay, actually, maybe I just squash it into the previous commit because logically it belongs to this anyway. Let's first remove this. So let's check out the styles because I want to get rid of the red border again. And then we say just no edit, amend, and no edit means like we take the changes that are currently in the staging area in the index and just integrate it or merged into the previous commit. Cool. So now I want to say Elm install, and I just grab the package name or the package path. I don't know what's the proper term for this here from the Elm package stop. So while it looks like there is a lot of space in there, there are like no literal spaces in there. So I'll just add this. It asks me, should I add it to my JSON? Yes, please add it. Boom. So yeah, let's set up Elm Ui. I just drive off the first example here. Let's say we want to have, a row probably. Oh, here, main element layout, my row of stuff. That sounds great. So let's go to our view function. And we already have a layout function. Maybe we should replace that. Yeah, let's do that. So instead of having our handmade, I'll just comment this out to keep it as a reference and not forget anything. Have everything ready for copy and paste. We say, okay, I mean, this help text, this text was also just for people who tuned in before I started talking on the stream. So text in from score and content. Now we probably also want to remove content. So what do we put in here? Maybe just a text title Tetris in here. Maybe we just bake in the rest again. Where's the content coming from? Content's where's content coming from? It's getting passed into the layout function. Okay, I see. Board view. Fair enough. Okay, let's just construct a row. Then, hell, let's skip the Tetris title for now. Row, and hopefully it tells. Because now we have rows from our Tetris game and we have rows from Elm Ui, which is a bit confusing, but anyways, let's just say element dot row, and I guess it takes 2 lists as well. No, it only takes 1 list. Well, that's, oh no, it has 1 list with attributes and 1 list for the children. That's great. And I'm wondering if I can put in the content here directly. That's compatible. Probably not. No definition found for row. Where is row coming from? Row is coming... No, it's coming from element. That should be working. I cannot find element row variable. Because I didn't import it in the first place. So let's say import element. Boom. That looks better. I messed up my indentation here. And layout expects my row of stuff. Okay, so we can just say this is one expression instead of wrapping it in parentheses. And now this is not happy. Main. What is main? Try this live example on Ellie. That's good. That gives us... Yeah, that looks good. I think main is maybe a bit too much. What does element layout do? Layout. This is your top level node where you can turn element into HTML. So HTML message. So that's good, right? That's what we want. Ah, but it's not really our top level. Okay, so the layer, yeah, actually this wasn't badly named, I guess. So I would say let's put this into a let block here. And call it sub view just for now, probably a shitty name as well. And in and here sub view. Maybe I just reconstruct those views from, or maybe just, I don't know. Leave this empty for now. Layout does not exist anymore. Should I revive layout? Okay, I revive layout. Layout, what was it? Score model. Content, not model. Okay, now at least it compiled, and now we'll probably see nothing because we didn't add anything here to the row. That's okay. And what can I put into these magical rows? My element. And I think there's an element to just wrap HTML, I would assume. HTML. HTML turns HTML into an element. So this is okay. Let's do element.html and then the subview doink. And now we should at least see our board again. If we start the game, that looks nice. And now I'm wondering, like, I'm hoping that Elm Ui has something really simple to offer to just center X as an attribute. So I hope I can just throw the center X here into my layout. No, into my row. Center X. Kadoink! And it compiled. And now our Tetris is centered. Isn't that lovely? So maybe, yeah, I remove this crap on the top here because this will, Tetris is done. Solved. The Tetris problem is solved. Don't need to announce anymore. Yeah. So obviously that's a very simple layout, but Elm Ui is really great if you're not a CSS master and want to get started quickly and just get something halfway visually pleasing without having to learn the whole CSS tips and tricks library. This is a great way to start it. Really highly recommend looking into this. So yeah, I think that's a wrap for my Tetris series. It was also my first dipping my toe the first time into streaming. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback, I'm always happy to hear. And yeah, next Wednesday I'll be back again, but at that time I'll just start looking into creating something very similar, an overlay for this very stream, a way to show the comments as an overlay in OBS Studio, and connect. And I already have seen there's a JavaScript library to read the comment or the messages on a Twitch chat stream for a particular channel. It's like unauthorized, just JavaScript, but yeah, that is just as a teaser of what will happen next week. Thank you for watching and see you then.